Hello and welcome back. Still in the 7 Habits series, still in that overview part. Excuse me, we talked about elevating your thinking and why that's important. And I had referenced paradigms. Stephen Covey talks about it in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The way that Stephen introduces it or explains it is a paradigm is your view. It's like a map. And it's a replica of something that exists in the physical world, right? Like you can take a map, but the map isn't the same as being boots on the ground. And if you have an unhelpful, like an unhealthy or a not great map paradigm for the territory that you're in, you're not going to be effective. In the book, he said if you had a map of Detroit and you are in Chicago, that's not going to help you. And if you have a map of Detroit and you are solid to the fact that this map of Detroit replicates Chicago, you're going to have a really hard time navigating because you're searching on a map that doesn't work, and you're unwilling to change it, right? So if you come in, and that's the beauty of it, right? Being unwilling to change, like that's the solution is changing. It's changing your paradigm. It's not changing who you are. It's not changing where you are. It's just changing your map. That's it, right? Go to a gas station, get a new map. Then you got it. You're doing good things. Stephen talks about, so a paradigm is a perspective, right? It's you put yourself in somebody else's shoes. You view the world from your shoes, and your perspective was largely learned from your experiences, your values, the way that you believe things should be, what you feel is acceptable, how you communicate. All of those things were learned, and all of those things contribute to your paradigm. And by introducing this idea of a paradigm, when we talk about shifting your paradigm, that's how you become more effective. And it does, a lot of it goes back into Stoic philosophy. You can't know what someone else is going through, and you can't take what's happening to you personally, because oftentimes it's never you, right? So when we talk about a paradigm shift, we'll talk about an example that he used, road rage, right? Driving down any highway, I-94, driving from North Fargo to South Fargo, right? You are defensive driving, doing all the right things, you get cut off. And you're super mad. And you're laying on the horn and you're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And that's, the paradigm is, I'm driving safe, everyone else should drive safe and reasonable, right? You get cut off, and for a moment, put yourself in that car. That could be a brand new driver, right? That's super scared, first time on the interstate, doesn't know what they're doing, didn't hurt anybody. It could be someone who just got awful news and is rushing home, or is rushing to a hospital. If you knew either of those situations, I'm not saying it would entirely change the way that you perceive that. It doesn't change the fact that it's an unsafe, you were narrowly dodged a bullet, right? Or maybe you didn't. But wouldn't that change your compassion for the other driver? That's what we talk about when we talk about a paradigm shift. It's getting out of your own head and giving some compassion to somebody else. So that's a huge part of being effective. It's understanding someone else's perspective also. Like understanding someone else's perspective first, right? Because you know where you stand. Learning where someone else is coming from, that's where that shift happens, and that's where effectiveness happens, and that's where authentic, genuine connection happens. And ultimately, that's why you want to make a change, right? So, paradigms. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. I'll talk to you next time.